Hi, my name is Gwen McNally. I am a junior at Columbia, and I'm doing my project on option 1, comparing Renaissance banquets, 18th century opera houses, and rock concerts in the modern day. Starting off with the Renaissance banquets, they took place during the Renaissance from the 14th century to the 17th century. They were held in large banquet halls that had long tables that the company would feast on and eat lots of food while the music was kind of like accompanying their dinner or meal. The music would typically kind of fit the theme of the banquet, whether it be like a holiday banquet or another like religious ceremony banquet. I have an example of a song that I chose that I will play for you. That example I really was drawn to because of how lively the players were playing their instruments, and I love that they would include like lutes and little trumpets and some like small guitar called a guitarn. And sometimes they would include like tambourines and sometimes even some singing as well. But regarding the banquets and how the people would interact with the music, it would typically be like the people who were eating the food at the banquets would kind of be listening to the music while they ate, or like sometimes interacting if it was like a song that they were familiar with, like a religious song, or they would just typically have the music be kind of like background music. Typically the banquets were considered to be kind of like a luxurious event to attend and have a huge feast with lots of food and wine and forms of entertainment as well. But there were also some banquets that were held for and run by peasants that were kind of like a toned down version of the ones in like the big luxurious banquet halls that were like purposefully built for having banquets in. But the peasant banquets would typically be held like outside or in a small home and have less people, and the music would be also performed by peasants as well. The people who would attend the banquets typically wouldn't have much knowledge about the music that was being performed during the banquets, but it would really depend on the song that is being played, because there were a lot of traditional like Christmas songs or other like holiday songs. The next topic that I'm going to compare Renaissance banquets to is 18th century opera house. This came right around after the Renaissance was kind of coming to an end, and they were they would take place in these huge extravagant opera houses. They had like very high ceilings with lots of layers to them and like very intricate architecture and like just like huge scenes for the opera singers and players to perform with. I'm going to give you an example of an Italian opera that was stemming from Naples. Okay, as you can see and hear in that video, the opera singers sing with such strong emotion that can really come in waves to the audience members. So that is really like the main way the audience would interact with the opera singers and the music, was through emotion and how deep opera songs and singing is regarding emotions, and they would really connect with the audience members. Most of the people who would attend operas, especially in large expensive opera houses, are like the social elite and very upper class. They would kind of purposefully go to the opera houses simply just to experience the opera, not to socialize or to eat anything like the Renaissance banquets were. And they were like primarily held for the social elite. Like they didn't really have, or it wasn't really accessible for the like middle to lower class to attend, or affordable, because the opera houses were just heavily funded by the richest people, and it was a very like social class thing to do, is going to the opera. And they didn't really have operas intended for the lower class because it was such a elite event to attend. So the next category I'm going to be comparing is rock concerts. They were originated in the US in the late 40s to early 50s, but were very popular in like England and other European countries as well. The music is very intense. I would also consider it to be emotional, not so much like bringing your emotions to the forefront, but like I guess it could be like that, but a lot of it is getting your emotions out with like loud singing and guitar playing and just like experiencing the music very freely and raw. I'll give you a little example. This is a Led Zeppelin concert live in Seattle in 1977. So, like, basically, as you can see in that video, how heavily the electric guitar was used and still is used in rock music to really let out some of that, just like creative freedom and stuff like that. The performances for rock concerts, just like modern day concerts, are typically held in just like a concert venue that could be ranging from just a small hometown, like small business concert venue to like a very large, like stadium hall, depending on the popularity of the artist. But it's kind of difficult to compare modern day music to these historical genres and eras that I've been previously talking about, just because of the way the audience can be involved with the music, mostly because like back in the 18th century opera and the Renaissance, we didn't have technology like we do now, where people can be listening to this music on their own time and be really involved in the culture of like rock music that just wasn't available in the past, because people were only seeing this music and listening to this music going to the concert. Whereas it's like with rock concerts, people would already know the music because they could listen to it at home and listen to it out and about, that they know all of the words, which gives them like a special connection with the bands that they're fans of, which just is like hard to compare with the past when we didn't have that technology available. People at rock concerts could really be free and dance and get really involved in the music differently than in the past we were able to. And we just have a lot more information about the artists, so people can make fan bases and like be really diehard fans for rock because it's a more modern thing. Whereas it's kind of interesting to think about if we had technology or like social media back during the 18th century opera, like there would be different ways people would experience the music. But yeah, those are some key differences and similarities between Renaissance banquets and 18th century opera house and rock. I personally would probably be most intrigued to go to a Renaissance banquet, just because of my sister was in a choir when she was in high school that would put on a madrigal performance that was very similar to a lot of these Renaissance banquets that had singing and food and just like the whole experience, like they would be in costume, and it was just like such a fun, memorable experience to see my sister doing that and me being an audience member. It just sounds super fun, and I would love to maybe try to attend some kind of modern day Renaissance banquet. I don't think I would be that interested in going to an opera, just because I haven't really ever been that intrigued by opera. I think maybe just because it is sung in different like Latin and like old Italian, that I just don't feel like I can connect with the music like I could if I were to go to like maybe an English sung opera. I'm not sure, but I would love to go to a rock concert as well, but I feel like that would be less of a like new experience for me, just because I've gone to rock concerts in my life already, and it's like they're super fun and I love them, but I think there would just be something special about going to a Renaissance banquet. I don't know, just seems something I would be interested in. But yeah, thank you so much.